I'm Steph Hodge with BoardGameGeek, here with Ben from Floodgate Games, and today we get to look at Cosmic Colonies. How's it going, Ben?
Doing well. This is it's been a lot of fun despite not being able to be in person. So I'm
I
enjoying it.
know it's sad, but we do what we can to show off what we got.
Love it. I love it.
I love it. So tell me a little bit about the inspiration for Cosmic Colonies. How did this come to be? Because I've been fortunate enough to play it. I've really enjoyed it. So tell me a little bit about how this came into being right now.
Yeah, it's actually pretty funny. This one is designed by Scott Alms, and he and I have wanted to work together for a while. And several years ago, met up at Grand Con, and started talking through. Or we actually met before Grand Con. Started talking through some ideas. One that he had was really sticking for me. We met up at Grand Con, talked through it, and started working remotely on this game idea that he had. And one part was working really great, and the other, like scoring part of it, not so much. So we actually iterated on it for, I think, 2 or 3 years, and it has been through about 4 major revisions to get to where we're at now. But
Wow.
here we are.
Here we are. This is very exciting because I love polyominoes. That's the first thing I noticed about this game when I first saw it. But there's also
Yeah.
card drafting, which is a feature that I really like. So tell us a little bit about like how many people does it play, about how long does it play. Give us a general overview of what's happening.
Ab- Absolutely. So Cosmic Colonies is what we're calling an orbit drafting game of building a home in the stars. This is a 2 to 5 player game, but it also has a solo mode. I can talk more about that a little bit later. For the 2 to 5 player game, what's going on here is we are each building a home on an asteroid. So we'll start with our own asteroid board that has various terrain types on it, and we have a hand of workers that we're working from. Those workers, we're going to choose to send one of them to work for us during the round. This choice is simultaneous, and all of the players reveal those workers at the same time, and then they'll be resolved in priority order. That's the number at the top left of the card. When it's your turn to use your worker, workers can either gather resources from the central board or build buildings. Gathering resources is pretty straightforward. They can gather either their carry capacity, which is the number on the right of the card, or however many are there, whichever number is smaller. Those go to your warehouse, and you'll be able to spend them on a future turn. If you choose to have your worker build, you'll take a building from the center tableau there and place it into your asteroid, but you'll have to pay its cost. The cost is indicated to the left, and they're almost always 2 of one resource and 1 of another in the 2 and 3 player game. But in the 4 and 5 player game, there are actually 2 available, one that's a little bit cheaper than the other. So there's more to pull from, but getting there earlier is better. Yeah, we've got a couple small buildings there that come up, and I'll get to those in a second. So
Yeah, they might not come up. They might not.
Yeah, that's true. So when you're building buildings, that's kind of the core thing that you're trying to do in the game from an objective perspective. So you're going to be putting these buildings onto your asteroid board, covering the various terrain types. These buildings are polyomino shapes. You have to place them within the bounds of your asteroid, but the goal is to cover up the various terrains cleverly. So you'll see a little scoring track on the left side of the board there. And the way this works is at the end of the game, however many of a particular type are showing, the fewer of those there are, the better. And you'll score more and more points. So for those purplish mountain spaces, if you have none of them showing at the end of the game, that's 15 points. And then 1 showing is 12 points, 2 is 9, and so on. So basically they're worth 3 points apiece once you've covered enough of them. Moving down, the little minerally orange space, those are worth 10 points if you cover all of them, and then 2 points apiece for each one that you don't cover, and then 1 apiece for the icy spaces. And in the base game, there are no points awarded for covering or not covering the dirt spaces there. So the name of the game is how are you placing your polyominoes so that you're efficiently covering the terrain types that you want. there are a couple twists to the game. One is that each worker that you use has a special unique ability. Not only do they have unique carrying capacity and priorities, but their abilities really change the shape of your strategy as you're playing. So they do all manner of the things you'd expect, like moving your polyominoes around, more efficiently gathering resources. The intern just makes a mess of things. After you collect, you have to get rid of some resources. So all sorts of cool flexibility here. The reason this is super cool, though, is during the turn, you'll use 2 workers, you'll take your 2 actions, but then the workers that you use orbit around the table, being passed to the player to your left, and then you'll in turn get 2 new workers from the player on your right. So if you use that super cool combo of guys, you hand them off to another player. And there's also some other workers that are not so great. Those ones, you can use them and kind of take a little bit of a not so optimal turn, but knowing that now you've handed them off to your opponents to play shorthanded. So a lot of cool.
This is one feature that this is one feature I really like, because you really want to play these powerful cards, but you really don't want to give them to the next player. And also, it's a closed card system, so all the cards that start in the beginning of the game are in the game totally, and cards that are not in play you won't even see for the game. So it's just like you don't know what to expect.
Yeah, and even when you know the whole card pool of all 20 workers in the lower player counts, you shuffle them up and randomly distribute 4 per player. So some of them aren't even in the game, and you don't know that until you've seen a couple rounds of cards being passed. So people will hang on to the one that guarantees to go first and sort of drop it in one of the late rounds, surprising everyone. A lot of neat moments like that end up happening too.
Definitely.
What I've shown you here is the basic version. We've also got an advanced variant, a whole new deck of workers where, depending on if that's your first or second worker of the round, they have a little bit more powerful of an ability. And that typically later in the round, there are fewer things to gather and so on. So we help out with that by giving you a more powerful ability. It's usually the same as the daytime ability, the first worker that you play during the round, but then it's discounted or boosted in some way and so on.
Can't really read also, that, Nikki, but
yeah, the green screen is cutting it off. We picked just the wrong color for our cards, right?
Yeah, I know.
Also, when you're playing the advanced setup, you'll flip your asteroid board over. All of the scoring that I talked about is the same, except those dirt spaces that before it didn't matter whether or not you cover them. Now when you cover them, you're actually going to lose points. So you're sort of encouraged to play even more efficiently with how you cleverly place your polyominoes here.
Somebody asked if
I'm sorry.
Somebody asked if all of the boards were different, and I believe they are, right? Each front and backs are different from each other?
Yeah, the front and back are the same per board, but each of the 5 players has a unique board layout that has the same number of each terrain type, though. So everybody's got equal opportunity, but a different path to get there. And it's pretty solid.
Yeah. And once you place a polyomino...
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, once you place a polyomino, you have to place adjacent to that existing polyomino. So you really try to puzzle it out in your head. What will work here in this space, next to this space, next to this space?
Absolutely. Creating gaps that are the right size, knowing that a particular building may be taken, maybe not available this round, but knowing that it refreshes at the end of the round, you'll create a space that's hopefully perfect for that one. And you still have to time out your resources and make sure you're getting in with the right workers at the right time too.
Yeah. And you have a hidden goal to work towards as well, which we didn't really talk about. But the yellow card, right?
The primary scoring comes from covering the terrain types. Then we also have 2 different little bonuses that come up. You'll get a bonus for building one of each building type, but alternatively, we also have a private objective where one of the buildings is going to be worth 2 points each to you, and then a different building is worth 1 point each to you. And these do have overlap. So my major bonus may be your minor bonus. So we might be gunning for the same building for different reasons. And all of that's hidden at the beginning. So you can kind of get a read on it once you see someone's playing over a couple rounds, but it's still a nice little secret and bigger reveal that you have to wait till the end of the game to actually know who wins.
Yeah, no, that's really good. There's also, I think on the advanced mode where if you get a full collection of each type of building, you get bonus points. So you try and go for all of them anyway for those extra bonus points.
Yeah, totally. It's always about striking a balance and figuring out how can I play around what I'm trying to do, but still within the bounds of what's available to me. Yeah, we have
Purple
nice little
disappears.
sculpts here too. Chad Hoverter was the sculptor who put those together. He did an awesome job.
Yeah, they're really cute. And sorry, you were gonna say something about solo mode. I just want to make sure you get that in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So solo mode, it's actually really fun. So here you're playing with yet another separate deck of cards that leverage a lot of the same workers and what you're familiar with from the 2 to 5 player game, but they're tweaked a little bit to make more sense for the solo mode. Now, each of these solo mode cards has an ability that when you're playing the card, you'll get the ability, you'll take your turn pretty much as normal, building out your board. But then on the bottom, the robot player is also playing from this same pool of cards. These are drawn randomly, and the bottom part determines what they're trying to do. They start with some resources. Some of them say the robot player will gather resources, and then some of them will say they'll build buildings. Each of the buildings they build are worth a number of points that you set at the beginning of the game, so you can kind of tune the difficulty. Right in the middle is like, I think 7 points you'll say each of them are worth. And that's indicated on the solo mode board. And the trick here is each building type that the robot player doesn't build counts against them. So then you'll start to have this reason to deny the robot player from being able to build a certain building type to help bring their score down. But the core of what you're doing on your board is still reminiscent of the rest of the game. So it gets to be a pretty close approximation to what it feels like to play against an opponent who's trying to sort of mess with your game and ruin your plans in a nice, friendly way.
That sounds like fun. So Ham Mod on Air, he comment in the chat says solo mode is built in or an expansion.
Solo mode is built into the game. That comes with the box. So you're already ready to go.
He also writes, this one's hitting all the right boxes for me. Floodgate has done it again.
Oh, that's very nice to hear. Love it. Thank you.
Ruckus asks, how much of the board will usually be filled roughly, do you think?
Great question. You definitely won't be able to fill the whole board. The game is tuned where you're playing probably about 10 buildings, each of them covering about 4 spaces. So you won't be able to get all the way there. The game is definitely built so that you're rewarded for covering things in a clever way, more so than in a complete way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you're rewarded proportionally for focusing on 1 or 2 of the different terrain types, but definitely not punished for going outside those bounds. Again, though, the advanced mode is a little less forgiving intentionally by preventing you from gaining points for covering up the dirt spaces.
Yeah, you want to try to avoid covering those dirt spaces for sure. Yeah, no, this is a fantastic game. I really love it. It hits all the right boxes for me too, so I agree with that statement. So how can people acquire Cosmic Colonies?
Yeah, we're doing direct orders right now. It's available through our website, floodgate.games. And then it's going to go to retail, I believe, middle or end of August. So we're pretty close to it being at your friendly local game store as well.
Excellent. Is there anything you'd like to add about Cosmic Colonies?
Nothing else. I think we covered everything. We're just really excited for this game, and it's been getting great feedback so far. And I hope everyone gets a chance to try it out.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ben, and showing us Cosmic Colonies today.